Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Adrian. Today we will talk about approaching intercultural contact. Let's start with my reference first, which is MOOC and FeatureLearn. What is MOOC? MOOC is a massive open online course platform that you can find any type of course inside, and FeatureLearn is one of those courses. In general, FeatureLearn is an online learning platform in partnership with 23 leading universities, the British Council, British Museum, and British Library to provide learning opportunities that let people gain new skills. This week's course is improved by Dr. Heinz Collins from University of Leeds, and we are going to basically summarize all he taught in this course. So let's start. Let's talk about my content. Today we will talk about the definition of acculturation. We will see U and W curve. We will also see Yang Kim's theory of cross-cultural adoption. We'll also see intercultural competence. And we will talk about the models of intercultural competence. Also, we will talk about the KASA model. And as the last topic, we will analyze a critical incident together. So let's start with acculturation's definition. Acculturation is the process by which a culture adopts the customs and ideas of another culture. It is a process of learning and adapting to values, behaviors, and traditions of another group or society. So it's basically interacting with another culture. And of course, this adapting process has some also has own process. We will talk about them today. We are calling them U curve and W curve. The U curve and W curve were developed to describe the process of acculturation. These curves has 4 periods. First one is honeymoon period. Honeymoon period is the excitement of being in a new environment. So think about you're moving to another country or you're going to another country again for studying for Erasmus program maybe. So the excitement is our honeymoon period. But with time, we are getting to know the environment, we are getting to know the people, but at first we are having a cultural shock, and this period is called crisis period. But again, with time, we are trying to adapting the culture, getting to know the people again, and like I said, we are trying to adapting, and this period is called adjustment period. As the last period, we have biculturalism period, which is the feeling well adjusted and confident in the new environment. Like this is the end of our adopting process. We are totally adapted to culture, we are totally adapted to environment, and now we have like 2 cultures. And you can see the diagram here, like the honeymoon phase is very raised, like the excitement, but with time we are trying to getting a little anxious because we don't know environment, we don't know people. But like we said, with time we are getting to know them, we are getting to know the culture, we are getting to know the environment, and it's getting low again. I'm sorry, it's getting rising again. And if after that process, if we go back to our home, we have to leave this process again. So it could be a little tricky for us, but yes, this is the thing. So we talked about U curve and W curve. So let's talk about Yang Kim's theory of cross-cultural adoption. So whenever you face a situation or transition to a new environment, like we talked, where you establish cultural patterns don't work, you will likely experience some level of stress and confusion, like we talked about in the crisis period. These feelings can initially provoke defensive responses where you may try to keep your existing habits and reject the new culture. However, with time and some effort, you begin to accommodate to the new environment, like we talked about adjustment period. And this growth may stop you seeing 2 opposing binary cultures and instead see environments with substantial overlaps and commonalities. Like Yang Kim's theory is also similar with U curve and W curve. So, and also you can see the diagram here, diagram of that theory. Like it starts with stress, but with time we are trying to adapting the culture and it's rising to the adoption level. So let's talk about intercultural competence in this page. How do we develop intercultural competence? First, we consider what is needed to facilitate intercultural contact and ways of modeling intercultural competence. As intercultural communication was increasingly seen as crucial in a globalized world, researchers focused on two main ideas. First, identifying specific traits and characteristics necessary for intercultural competence. We will talk about them in our next pages. And the second main idea they focused is contemplating how these traits are assessed and acquired. So, let's move into the next page, which is the so in this page we have models of intercultural competence, knowledge, attitudes, skills of interpreting and relating, skills of discovery and interaction, and critical cultural awareness. So let's talk about them. First, knowledge. Knowledge refers to what a person knows about their own culture, other cultures, and social group, values, beliefs, and etc. This includes understanding cultural norms, historical backgrounds, traditions, and social expectations. Having this knowledge helps prevent misunderstandings and supports more informed interaction, so it's very important in intercultural process. As our second model, attitude, we have attitude. Attitude shapes how a person approaches cultural difference. So the model highlights the importance of openness, curiosity, flexibility, tolerance, respect for other perspectives. Having these attitudes is very important if you want to getting to know another culture. So we should be careful about these attitudes. As our third model, we have skills of interpreting and relating. These skills involve the ability to interpret cultural practices or behaviors from another culture, explain the meaning, relate them to one's own cultural perspective. This competence helps individuals understand the deeper meaning behind cultural actions and bridge differences between cultures. So, if you want to know a culture more deeply way, more detailed way, you have to be careful about this. As our fourth model, we have skills of discovery and interaction. These are the practical skills used when encountering new cultural contexts. They include the ability to acquire new cultural knowledge independently and asking appropriate questions. And as our last model, we have critical cultural awareness. This is the highest level of intercultural competence. It involves critically evaluating one's own culture and other cultures, recognizing biases and stereotypes, understanding power dynamics, and making ethical and informed cultural judgments. Critical cultural awareness enables individuals to move beyond simple knowledge and develop a reflective, responsible, and ethical stance toward cultural diversity. Like we said, if we want to know a culture more detailed way, this is the highest level of a cultural awareness. So in the next page we have KASA model. We talked about knowledge and attitude, but let's talk about them again briefly. So, I'm sorry. As the first step, our KSA model, we have knowledge, like we talked about in the previous page. It refers to what a person knows about cultural differences, like cultural norms, communication styles, social rules, beliefs, values, and etc. As a second, we have attitude. Attitude shapes how we approach cultural differences, like we said, being curious about being respectful about other cultures is important, flexibility is important, understanding is very important if you want to know another culture. So we should be careful about our attitude towards people, towards another culture. As a third step in this model, we have skills. These are the practical abilities used in intercultural interactions, like adapting language and tone to the context, interpreting nonverbal cues in different cultures, negotiating meaning politely, managing misunderstandings. These skills are very important to adjusting. It's very important in the process of adjusting and adapting a new culture. And we should gain these skills if we want to. So, as the fourth step, we have awareness. This is the most reflective component, like understanding your own cultural lens and others, like noticing your own cultural assumptions, understanding how culture shapes perception, recognizing bias, being aware of what you do unconsciously, like we talked in the previous page. This is the highest level of intercultural phase, intercultural periods, and why it matters, because awareness helps you stop automatic judgments and communicate more effectively. So it's very important. And as our last topic, we have analyzing a critical incident topic. An incident means detailed description of the critical incident. And a reaction is where you describe how the incident or observation affected you. And like we said, during these reactions, we should be careful about our attitude. Like, we should be polite, we should be respectful, we should be open minded. And as a third, we have critical analysis. In critical analysis, you attempted to deconstruct the incident or observation to analyze why it happened. And as the last step, we have further reflection, like further questions and reflections gives you the opportunity to question your own conclusion, particularly any assumptions made too quickly. So, this was analyzing a critical incident part of our presentation. And this is my comment, and thank you for listening to me. See you in another videos.